Maggie Haberman has a new book coming out. It's called Confidence Man, The Making of Donald Trump and the Breaking of America. It's gonna be released, I think, early next week. This might be weighing on the brain of Donald Trump because he's got other things he's worrying about, but now bad publicity is probably topping the entire list. There's blurbs about how he wanted to fire Ivanka and Jared via Twitter. There's also things about how he wanted to search Maggie Haberman's phone records to find out who those damn leakers actually are. All those things have him a little bit probably concerned, but also have him truthing. Let's go to his truth when he's talking about what's going on here. He says, here we go again. Another fake book is out. This one, supposedly very boring and stale by self-appointed head case. Failing unfunded liability, New York Times writer Maggie Hagerman. Hagerman, he says, the G. In it, she tells many made up stories with zero fact checking or confirmation by anyone who would know, like me. Listen to that again. She tells many made up stories with zero fact checking or confirmation by anyone who would know, like me. Remember that. In one case, she lies about me wanting to fire my daughter Ivanka and Jared. Wrong, pure fiction. Never even crossed my mind. Just have to fight troublemaking creeps like Maggie and all the rest. Pause for 1 second here, you guys, because some people wondered if he purposely misspelled Hagerman and put a G rather than Haberman. If he was, he would have quoted it or he would have capitalized it all, because he wants to make sure you guys know when he's saying something so clever.
So, Jared, I'm gonna jump in just for one quick second. On that point, Maggie Haberman has covered him for 6 years, now almost 7 years, and is arguably the top reporter covering him at the New York Times. We constantly talk about, sat down for an interview with her 3 times. She wrote a book about him. He still doesn't know her name. He says Hagerman instead of Haberman. I mean, like if it was a slip up once, you've seen us say 1,000 times, even for the right wing, oh, it's a slip up, it's no big deal. For people we don't agree with, it's a slip up, it's no big deal, right? But this one, how do you not know her name? You talked to her all those times.
He called his therapist or psychiatrist.
Yeah, I mean, he just clinical. He doesn't care about anything that isn't Donald J. Trump. So he doesn't even pay attention. He's got the mind of like a little flea, and not half the country, but about 40% of the country looks up to him. That's just sad.
And from that one truth that you just saw, it shows, and here's some proof. Now again, he said that she's making up stories and not checking with anyone like him. Haberman responded with this tweet. This is from Confidence Man, she says. And on the left, you see this image of a bunch of scribbled notes, whatever, and also Donald Trump's truth. Let's zoom in on those scribbled notes. In Sharpie, with big blocky letters, looks like they're all semi-capitalized. Very recognizable handwriting with the kind of thing that this guy named Donald Trump likes to write in. Here's some details. On Twitter, next to his Truth Social post, she posted a photo of a list of typed questions with answers written in the former president's distinctive style in his favorite format, the black Sharpie marker pen, thereby proving she had gone to him with these questions. In Haberman's notes, Trump does indeed deny that he wanted then Chief of Staff John Kelly to move his daughter and her husband out of the White House when asked why he ultimately decided not to do so. He did deny it. He writes in pen, false story. Kelly was too dumb to properly handle such an event, if true, which it was not. Bro, he needs to make his lies more concise, because the more you write, the more you say. I mean, you learn this as a 10-year-old. If you're lying, make sure you say quickly. Don't go to too many details, because we can find holes in your story. So one of the things is, he could handle this event if it was true, which it was not. Just say it didn't happen. Now, I don't know what you're talking about. Those are easy lies. Instead, he has to have more details, because you think that helps his lie. In reality, honestly, and also with obviously this proof that Haberman put out there, it's obviously true.
Okay, look, that's so funny because Kelly was too dumb to properly handle such an event, if true. I mean, why don't you just tell us that you wanted Kelly to handle that and he couldn't do it, and so you fumbled, firing your own daughter and son-in-law? Okay, like it's such a needless detail that tells you he's lying. Totally. And all of you know it. Even if you're a right-winger, you know it. You can deny it all you like, but like you've been a 10-year-old, you know bad lie, and that's one right there.
Can I ask both of you a question? What do you think the breaking point is gonna be? Because for someone like Trump, I feel that with this whole scandal, say the FBI raid, it's like, okay, so he was asked very politely by the FBI, please return these documents. You cannot have them. Then he was like, no, they're mine. I get to keep them. And so afterwards, they were like, all right, so we're gonna have to subpoena you. And still, he's like, no, I get to keep them. So in addition to that, he's like, well, actually, I have the right to have them. They're declassified. And his own FBI appointed director was like, okay, this is too far. We've gone too far. What is the breaking point for Trump followers? Like, at what point do they see this stuff and hear this stuff and be like, well, he does kind of sound like a man baby, like who's just like, they're my documents. I get to keep them. They're mine now. Where does it cross over? Like, where do people start to stop believing it?
Never. So we
never. Okay.
Yeah, we discussed this on yesterday's show because David Schuster, who's great on Rebel headquarters, you should check out his videos. They're including these interviews. Goes and regularly interviews Trump supporters. You go to Trump rallies, interviews MAGA guys, and we showed you some of those yesterday. And on the exact story you're talking about, Lance, I counted 5 different excuses for him. The excuses contradict one another, right? One of them says, oh, the FBI planted it. The other one says, no, he had it, but it was no big deal. One of them says he declassified it by just thinking about it. The other one says, you can't do it by thinking about it, but he must have done it through other means. Like, whatever crap he threw against the wall, they just take out little chunks that they want, and it's different people. So some guy likes that piece of crap, the other one likes that BS response, etc. And it's now, having watched all those Schuster interviews and the other ones we did with Emma and all the rest, etc. No, I'm positive that you cannot move a hardcore Trump supporter. Like, he could do anything. They're shooting a man on Fifth Avenue. That's easy. That's easy. Like, he could sleep with their wives on national television, and they would say, "Attaboy!" No, Pelosi made him do it. You know, I'm not. Look, I know it sounds like a joke. I know it sounds like hyperbole, but I think it's quite literal. 28% of the country is in that cult, and they're never going to leave that.
I think there's one small thing, Lance, really fast. One small thing.
Okay.
If he says something that actually makes sense, when he started talking about vaccines, there was a certain percentage that said, F this guy, he's been corrupted by the deep state. If he says something that makes sense, then they go, wait a second, you sound like a person.
No, that's a great point by JR. I revised, sorry. I love adjusting when I get facts. It's a great point by JR. I'll adjust live on air. If he said anything kind about a Democrat, they're out. Like, if he all of a sudden said, you know what, Nancy Pelosi's not so bad. I think she's actually a really good person. That's it. They leave him in media.
I mean, I'd have a problem with him for that. But actually, if he said something scientific that was correct, something that's concrete in fact.
Yeah, it's true. If he said like 2 + 2 = 4, they'd be like, wait a minute, that sounds true. I don't like that. Okay, sorry, Lance.
But my point being is that even Nixon had a breaking point. Like, there was a point when even the GOP started to turn the court of public opinion, let alone the judicial system. They were like, okay, at this point, it's like it's inexcusable. We have more evidence than we need to necessarily judge the president of the United States of wrongdoing. He shouldn't be allowed to do this. He cannot do secret recordings of the DNC. And they turned on him. But for Trump, I feel like there is no bar. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not just the QAnon crowd, not just the people who believe in things that are beyond the pale, but like for just everyday, I don't know, centrist Republicans, is there nothing that it'll take? There's nothing that'll ever move the pulse.
No, for the centrist Republican politicians.
Well, good to know.
No, it's the centrist Republican politicians listen to their base because they are in very safe districts. So their only challenge to their power is primaries, and you cannot get caught to the left of Attila the Hun. If you're not the most insane radical Republican in that district or in that state, they'll vote you out in a primary. So the real core of the cancer is actually the right-wing voters who have lost their goddamn minds. But to be fair to them, no, they're not the core. They're just one step removed. The real core is right-wing media, and that's the difference. Nixon didn't have right-wing media. He just had mainstream media. So everybody's like, oh yeah, I guess it's bad to break the law. I guess it's bad to break into Democratic headquarters. Yeah, that makes sense. But now there's a whole cottage industry, brainwashing, and you see it in the polls. I'm not talking about all Republicans, but it is the majority of Republicans. It's 28% of the country. You'll see it in poll after poll after poll. The ones that say, oh yeah, whatever Trump says, like the most absurd thing, the country's actually run by green lizards that live in Mars. They're like, yes, of course it is, right? That 28% watch right-wing media exclusively, and they hear the same exact thing, and it confirms it for them, so they'll never, ever leave Trump. So Democrats should get that clear. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.